Welcome to Courageous Parenting Summit, transforming challenges into opportunities. Today we have here with us Nicki Teufel. Welcome, Nicki.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Edith Wallach. I'm a transformational leadership coach. I am a best-selling author and mother of 3 clever, beautiful children. And today I would love to welcome Nicki Teufel, and I will share her bio with her. Welcome, Nicki.
Thank you for having me.
So Nicki has spent the past 17 years offering liberating and empowering solutions for children and adult wellness. Her focus has largely centered on non-pharmaceutical options that work for creating optimal mental and physical health. Having spent a decade under the mentorship of one of the top educators in natural health globally, being an ADDer and a mama of a little ADDer who she homeschools, she often speaks on the benefits of the ADD brain and how to optimize it for the asset that truly is an asset. Definitely. ADD and neurodivergency, it is an asset, and we get to empower our kiddos. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, let's jump in.
So, Nicki is today going to talk about self-empowered wellness, how to elevate your body, mind, and life out of any oppressive circumstances and into power and vitality. So tell us more about it, Nicki, and how come you'll end up into choosing this particular topic?
This topic, because I feel like it applies to the foundation that people are going to need. If we don't address the wellness, the lifestyle piece of, whatever's going on for us, right? If it's ADD, if it's that we have certain predispositions to certain things from our DNA, from our, family, whatever. Our lifestyle is the foundation by which we get to be empowered. It's going to affect our mindset. Our mindset affects our health directly. Your brain and your body are completely linked. There's nothing between it. When you think things and you feel things, there are direct responses that occur in the body and vice versa. When you do certain things with your body, your brain has an immediate response to that. So just the way you live, what you're going to eat, what you're going to do, who you're going to be around, activities you do or don't do, the lifestyle is the foundation. So like that's number one. Before we start grabbing for even professionals to support us or like grabbing for medications for sure, we just need to look at our lifestyle and go, okay, am I even like giving myself the chance to see what's already great, to experience and use what's already great about me as I'm designed. Yeah. That's why I chose that topic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicki. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask you what brought you into this idea of looking things and bringing into power rather than just depending upon the medicine and trying to solve things naturally.
Well, so I have a history of trying out these medications myself. My daughter never has needed to, thankfully. Both of my sisters have had their experiences in it. I have friends, and I just have nothing good to say about it. So, and that's just an honest piece of information. I just have nothing good to say about it. But what I do have to say is that as I'm a writer, my natural aptitude is writing. I started writing young and I wrote well easily, right? It's natural for me. When I went on this medication early on in college, so I was diagnosed late. It initially seemed like it was helping me get things done faster, right? So maybe it was like helping me with procrastination or, other things like that, focusing on studying math stuff and doing the test. But after about 6 months, well, one, they had kept having to increase my dose anyways. So like that's really bad for your body. It would only last for maybe a month to 2 months at a certain dose. And this is just me. It's not everyone's case. But it was about 6 months in and I was like, why is writing so hard? And I was an English major at this time and I had a lot of writing to do and it was analytical, so critical essays and things like that. And I found that this was creating, like, I all of a sudden couldn't even write a critical essay. I would write the same sentence over and over again. And so I was like, something's very wrong. And all my relationships around me were falling apart. I mean, things were completely upside down. And one of the things I learned around this time was that, and it came from Dr. Daniel Amen. He is still my favorite person in the ADD sphere. So this is about 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. It must have been 2006. And I found his book and it talks about different types of ADD. So you can't just give, a lot of people prescribing these medications, first of all, don't even know that. And then you do need to understand very clearly, like, well, which types could or shouldn't have which medications. It becomes really convoluted and it becomes a guinea pig testing situation for every child. If you go into these ADD parent groups on Facebook, you will see a plethora of posts of parents saying, we tried this medication and this happened. And then we tried this one and that happened. And then we did that. And it's like, they're just listing all these pharmaceutical mind-altering substances, drugs that their 5-year-old is taking. And none of it's working. And they just keep taking a new one to see if it works. So this is why, is because I had this experience with myself where I was like, well, first of all, the medication doesn't seem to be doing its job. And in my particular case, it did worse. Why? I have an ADD type that should never, never have a stimulant medication, ever. I don't need a stimulant medication. That's not the type of ADD I have. So other people, it could be helpful in certain ways, sure. But there are other things you can do. There's so many other things. I have a cupboard full of super safe, mind defensive substances that are natural, that are supplements that you can use that will do the same thing and better and safer, So to me, medications don't have a useful purpose. So last thing I'll say about that is that when I was on my hunt to understand why they were giving me this medication to try and help me, and I was seeing all these negative neurological outcomes, I naturally, because the ADD type I am, I wanted to get to the bottom of it and understand it and get answers. And I got none. I took it upon myself to go not just from the doctor that prescribed me, but then I was like, well, if you don't know, because I was asking details like, what exactly does it do to the neurochemistry? What exactly does this substance do in this way that's causing this? I was asking for details and my doctor didn't have them. My doctor couldn't answer most of my questions. So I figure, okay, the pharmaceutical company knows. Pharmaceutical company had no idea how to answer any of my questions. They said, well, those are things you'd have to ask the chemist that made it. You're selling this. You're training doctors on how to prescribe this. And you don't know. I was like, you're giving this to children and you don't know how it works. Because if you ask those kinds of detailed questions about specifically what is it doing to the brain, well, long-term or a developing mind, forget about that. They don't have any of that info. So I get down to the level of a chemist and talking to a chemist about this, and they said flat out, we don't know. We will never know. And what we do tests and we look at the outcomes we get and we create theories around that.
Mm,
They don't know what it does.
no clue.
They cannot tell us for certain. And this is probably the case with a lot of pharmaceuticals, but it's definitely the case with neurologically altering pharmaceuticals. I could go on a lot of stories about that topic because I started to get into that. But in short, what I'll say is that if you don't even know what it's going to do to your brain, who it's going to make you become, how it's going to change the trajectory of your life or your brain development, there's just no business in taking it. And then on top of it, if you're not even getting the result that you need and your kid's just a guinea pig for drugs, and this poor kid is going through this. So I'm a huge proponent for going for the other available and healthy and safe options that we have. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell anyone not to take medications. Don't want to get myself or anyone else in trouble.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. But as my individual self, when I tried to get answers about this and I was having a negative experience, I got this many answers.
Yeah.
Understandable. So, Nicki, because we choosing not to go on medicine, because you choosing not to go on medicine, and it was very similar. We've spoken about this privately, that the supplements that I've discovered for my family, and can you share with us, or can you share any of the supplements that you are using for yourself, for your child, and which ones you would recommend?
Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend getting Dr. Amen's book, Healing ADD, the 7 types. I believe that's what it's called. It's his singular, like, main ADD book. In there, he actually he gives prescriptions for the different types of supplements. So in his book, and that's where I started, right? That was my beginning point. And he does address pharmaceuticals there too. So you get to see a very, very smart neuroscientist, psychiatrist speak about this. So you'll get both sides in there, and it's really wonderful to see. So that's one place I would suggest parents check out, because again, it's going to depend on your type, right? Now, what I'm using traditionally is probably going to be great for most ADD types, namely using a really good omega-3. I actually worked it was funny when this stuff was all starting in my life, my journey on learning this stuff. I was working for a company called Nordic Naturals. I had just started working for them. I was working with a man named Jim Amick. He is now passed away, but he was a giant in this field, in the field of natural health. And he was insanely wise. His information on biochemistry and supplements, and then also the supplement companies themselves and what was going on in the background. So I was really blessed to get that education from him. So Nordic Naturals is my favorite for fish oil. If you're going to use globally, if you're going to use fish oil, I don't work for them anymore. I don't get anything for saying that, but I saw all their research. And if you look into their research, they are the most widely used. They have the largest amount of research done using their product in universities. So it's very easy to see too. If you want, you can even contact the company and ask them for what research papers can you give me on depression and using your product. And then you'll be able to see they use this much to get this result in this type of a person, right? So it's fantastic. So I love Nordic Naturals. And for myself, for ADD, I know that I want to get a minimum of 1,000 milligrams of DHA a day. DHA, because there's 2 omega-3s you want to worry about, and one is DHA. That's for brain, hormone health. Hormones play a big part in ADD, and then vision. So for myself as an adult, 1,000 milligrams as a minimum of of DHA. EPA matters a lot as well. Several of the types of ADHD, and that's another thing I should throw in there. Dr. Eamon generally calls ADD ADD, and they've sort of switched it, and now everyone's calling it ADHD. ADD does encompass all ADD types. So I tend to, you'll hear me say ADD, and it's because I follow his work. Because not everyone's ADHD. That only talks about half of the 7 types. So in terms of ADD, for EPA, some of the types are going to need a higher level of EPA. And EPA is the one that helps reduce inflammation. That's one of its main jobs. So an EPA, it does that because we take in a lot of omega-6, and we need EPA to compete with that 6 to create a permeable enough membrane on our cells so that they can get toxins out and hydration and nutrients in. So it's one of the main things that's happening with EPA. So a lot of brain types in ADD they're struggling when they have some mild low-grade inflammation in the brain or in the body somewhere. So the EPA can address that, like ring of fire brain type, ADD brain type. That one, usually you see inflammation happening with that. And if you get the inflammation down, all the symptoms might just dissipate. So that's super cool that's all you would need to do. With EPA, same, you're going to want to follow like a minimum of 1,000 milligrams of EPA a day. And I say minimum on these, meaning, if you go quite a bit higher than that, it's nothing to worry about with omega-3. It's really hard, like you can't like overdose on omega-3. But the worst thing that happens with that is you would take, if you have to go to surgery, you're going to have, you're going to bleed or you have a nosebleed or something like that. EPA also reduces fibrinogen in the blood, so it's going to, you won't clot as quickly. But again, it's not a pharmaceutical. It's nothing like intense, but that's really the only thing to think of. Other than that, take your liberties with it. Take plenty of it. You just don't want to take too little of it, is the only thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a very big question here. How did we come to know about what is our brain type, which medicine or which vitamins to take? Like, how did you come to know about it? Is there any test or something?
So in Dr. Amon's book, he has like an assessment, but he also has, because this is a long time ago, right? When I first found that book, he's got tons of online assessments you can do for free. And then it can escalate into, his paid services and brain scans. He uses something called SPECT imaging scans. So it's very different than a lot of other ways of making neurological assessments. He's looking at brain flow and activity through, or blood flow, sorry, and activity through the blood flow patterns of the brain. So he's going to look at the pattern that he's seeing of the blood flow and where it's reaching and all that. And it shows a lot. It's fascinating. So, if you go that far, and it's not cheap, to do those scans, but what's cool is his assessments are so well developed at this point in his career that they've seen where they'll do the assessment, and then this person decides to get the scan, and the scan and the assessment match up just fine. So the assessments are really accurate without even doing the scan. Yeah. So that's what I would do. I would check out Dr. Amon's work for that. And I've come across lots of ADD professionals, since then, and he's still above and beyond my favorite. Like, and if there was someone I found to be more accurate, helpful, or comprehensive, I would mention them, but I don't have anyone that I find to be that great. So I just go to him. Yeah. But as far as other supplements, real quick, I'll mention some of the other main ones that you could use would be cordyceps and reishi blend. So those are 2 mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms. Reishi and cordyceps work together to create focus and relaxation at the same time. So you get this nice balance. Excellent for brain health. And I would use Host Defense. That's the company I would use. And you can research them. They're the best of the best when it comes to producing pharmaceutical grade mushrooms. And then for, let's see, Bacopa, it's an herb. And the company I really like that produces Bacopa is Himalaya. And that helps with blood flow to the brain, and it's going to help with focus and natural energy levels and things like that. So those are the ones that come to my mind first. And then I'll also mention amino acid, L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine. That's also a big one for ADD folks as well. Yeah, I could say a ton about supplements we talk about for a long time. So let's kind of like leave it there for now.
Amazing. So what I wanted to ask you, because a lot of parents, when they discover or when they take their child to the doctors, and they have the assessment, and they are given the the how do you call it
Diagnosis.
diagnosis. Yes, thank
Uh-huh.
you. So when they are given diagnosis, your child is ADHD or ADD or any neurodivergencies, many parents take it, oh my God, like I can't believe I've never seen this, and how did this happen? And they put this kind of protective bubble around the child, like, oh my God, something is wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you are doing it the opposite. You are
Oh, yeah.
supporting children to empower them to create business. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I don't want to sound, I don't want to off-put anyone, but I get really excited when I meet people with an ADD brain. I kind of am like, oh, yay, like you have an ADD brain. Like I happen to think that they're exceptional people. And not because I have ADD, but just because of what I've experienced. And so I don't look at it as a problem. It's actually a massive asset.
Okay.
Like it should be a celebration, frankly. Now the problem comes when families they don't want to allow the child the environment in which they will develop exceptionally. So then what happens? If their environment is not conducive to their exceptional qualities developing, those exceptional qualities will invert and they will manifest as dysfunction. And then what? We throw medications at it and all kinds of other stuff. Now the kid has ODD. No, they don't have ODD. They're really smart and they're very powerful and they're super creative, and you're oppressing the crap out of them.
Well,
And they know it because they're smart. They're probably smarter than you. Unfortunately, my ADD kid, some of the stuff that I'm like, whoa, I'm like, hold on, give me a minute to put this together. So yeah, it's a thought paradigm shift. And doctors don't have this. First of all, doctors shouldn't be diagnosing anyone with ADD. It should be a neuroscientist, a neurologist. Psychiatrists shouldn't be doing it. General practitioners and pediatricians have absolutely no business making that diagnosis. None. And we also have to get out food dyes. We have to get out food allergens before we even think about that too. Another supplement I'll throw in there because it is really important. Kids who don't have ADD, autism, etc., all kids could struggle if they have that gene mutation, the MTHFR mutation. Don't know if I got that exactly right, but it's a gene mutation where they struggle with methylation. So they struggle with detoxification. And so all they have to do is they need to avoid folic acid, which is put in like how much stuff in the US, it's put in everything. So your parents got to get used to reading labels and avoid folic acid. Furthermore, they need to have a methylated form of folate. So they need some methylfolate, like a sublingual form of methylfolate, and make sure the kid gets that every day. It's like a little pop it under their tongue and it dissolves. And they're cheap and it'll solve that problem. Because a lot of times it's just their cells are not able to get rid of some of the junk and they're toxified. You know, their body is essentially not able to function as it's supposed to. So they don't have ADD. They don't have anything. They just need their body to be able to function properly. So just throwing that out there so parents understand, you know, this is stuff that doctors aren't teaching, and it's understood, and it has a medical basis, it's research based, but doctors aren't looking at that. So I don't think they're qualified to diagnose kids with ADD. They need to be looking at all of these things first. So, and food dyes are huge. Look at research for that, you know, yellow 5 for up to 5 days after a person consumes yellow 5, they can have anger management issues. 5 days after consuming yellow 5. So what if a kid has cereal that they eat every morning that has yellow 5 in it? They don't have anger issues. They have poison. Blue, 40, I think it is. Depression, research based. Red 40. Maybe it was blue, something, blue 2. Anyway, one of the blue ones. But red 40 is one of the ones that can mimic ADD. Kid doesn't have ADD. They have red 40 poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things need to be looked at first. You got to clean up, again, lifestyle. That's why I went to lifestyle. You got to clean up. You got to know these things, learn these things, clean up the lifestyle, be responsible. It's not easy. Our world doesn't make it easy to be healthy.
Yeah.
So did that answer your question, Edith? I'm sorry.
Perfect.
I trail off sometimes.
Perfectly. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's very inspirational to hear that you are empowering those children and supporting them with growing. Yeah.
In your initial question about empowering them, the reason I see it as a gift is because their creativity level is really through the roof, because they see things differently. And so they're going to see opportunities, new systems and processes, new marketing options. Like, you know, they're, like I said, great entrepreneurs. They're great at appealing to people's perspectives and needs if you let them, right? Like if you let them do their thing, they can perceive others very well. They're highly sensitive, and then they can put back out what's needed. So for business, this is excellent. But yeah, highly creative, out of the box thinkers. They're the ones that are going to generate new things. They're trailblazers, and they're strong, very strong-willed. They have fortitude and grit. So all these things come together to create like a really amazing life. Yeah, it's super, super sensitive and deep. Like they can have really good, close, deep relationships, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm really loving the way you're focusing on empowering with the powers they have. Like, this is where we are like struggling as a parents. We are giving a tag and handling it over to our kids as a shield to protect themselves from not taking action and not using their powerful brain into like causing and creating something huge and massive, which they are capable of. So thank you for all the things which you have said, and I'm sure that this is going to be amazing, informative interview for all the viewers who are watching it. So would you like to guide us through your free gift?
I believe it's at the New Year's reset or New Year's mindset one.
Okay.
Can you
Is
tell
it?
us
I have
what
a few
about?
things coming up. So which one am I giving? You tell me. Is it in there?
I love it. This is the
I'm pretty
moment.
sure. So I don't remember the title of it, but I know that what it is it's a free experience. I believe it's a 5-day experience, and they are going to get time with me each day live on Zoom. They're going to get the recordings, and they're basically going to hear about the mindset pitfalls and the lifestyle pitfalls that they'll want to clean up, and then what do you replace it with?
Yes.
How do you keep your mind on the right track? What are the tools that you use? What's the position that you place it in? And then how do you support it with your lifestyle, with your food and your habits, and how do you manage the people around you and relationships to do that too? Yeah.
And it's for 5 days, isn't it?
In 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and
Thanks for
giving
having me.
me. Thank you. Have
Thank
an
you.
amazing rest of your day.
You
Thank
too,
you.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Nicki,
you.
for being here with us. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.